in Islam, there's an interesting tradition, and of course, Islam took a lot from Christian and Jewish traditions, many of which aren't with us anymore, I think. And in that, when God made Adam as the epitome, this was his greatest creation, and he wanted all his angels to come and bow down to Adam as God's greatest creation. And Satan said, "No, I can't do that. I love God more than anything that he made," and refused to bow down. And God said to him, "Go to hell." And the last words echoing in Iblis, his name was Iblis,
Iblis.
he head was like echoing of his beloved, who he loved more than anything, telling him just to go to hell. And it's interesting. It's kind of an interesting way to look at it. So
It's a
maybe he
little bit
loved it
different.
not wisely, but he loved too well.
It's a little bit different in Islam. You have different orders and ranks. You had God, and then you have the angels, and then you had the fire spirits, the Ifrits. That's supposedly what Satan is, or Iblis in Islam. Because technically, if the angels were made are shards of God, then they are part of Him. They cannot disobey. So Islam explains it differently, that they are fire spirits, smokeless fire, and they're different, and that's why they hate us, because they're made of fire and we're made of clay, and they feel superior. So yeah.
Clay
By the
needs
way,
to be
hello
fired.
everybody.
Clay needs to be fired in order to become porcelain.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's a Catholic tradition or is others, but the angels come in 9 choirs. There are 9 different hierarchies of angels, and the one closest to God are the one are burning with God, with the love of God. That's why they're like the flaming, right?
Well,
So,
Wasn't there a line in William Blake where he said he was strolling along in hell looking at the lights of genius, which to heaven looks like the writhings of torture? Something like that?
yeah.
I have to look up the quote.
Why not? So that's why. So that's why the flame of the flame of hell and the flame of purgatory, which is like the cleansing step into heaven, is like the same flame. it's the same flame, the same love of God that burns. 2 different souls have different effects on them.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting. I understand that the fires are not supposed to be material fire.
Right.
I've always understood it as a spiritual fire. I read
hellfire.
Yeah, hellfire was spiritual. I read this thing about years ago, the science fiction story about a guy that made a deal with a devil, but the devil wanted him to go into this place in hell where there was this ring of power so he could take over from Satan. So he says, well, let me think. This is not material fire, right? No, this is like despair and this and that. All right, I'll need some Valium. Just take some Valium. But no one can go through the despair. Just give me some Valium. He just goes and takes the drug, goes through, comes out. Oh, I need a pot of coffee now. I'm kind of sleepy. Here's your magic ring. And I don't know. You kind of had to be there. It's interesting, the things that stick in your head sometimes. I don't think Valium could really help, to tell you the truth. Under those circumstances, that's a little caveat. I'm not advocating that.
I know I'm a little late to the party here, but have we? Oh wait, before I get started, let me.
You're starting. You're gonna get started. Okay.
Okay. Listen. I have a. I know a guy. He is my landscaper, right? Man. Yeah. How do I stop this? His name is Tanner, and guess what? He's a little bit darker than Tan.
Guy named Tanner. Interesting. You don't meet many Tanners.
Nice.
This is the truth. But have you guys started talking about the aliens?
We're sprinkling it between the Book of Enoch, yeah, but
aliens. Yeah. No, I love the description of what Enoch says about the thing that comes down from the sky. It's clearly a spaceship. Clearly.
Well, I think that every time has what people intrinsically consider to be really powerful. And there was a time when the most powerful things came from the sky and they were spiritual beings, gods or demons or whatnot. Now we, as a culture, no longer believe in that. But what we do believe is the superior power of aliens. We've gotten to a point, you remember the old saying that sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, or for that matter, for religion. So we have this idea that physical science can make us godlike. That singularity idea.
Oh yeah.
We're all eventually going to have infinite power and stuff like that. But really, this is simply a secularization of what people have always deep down felt. Something bigger is up there and it has a lot more power than us, and if we appeal to it, it can help us, and if we do the wrong thing, it can harm us. So I think part of that is just we're transposing people's hopes and fears onto what the biggest thing in our culture, and that's like the great thing I always say about in that great comedy show Red Dwarf, where Lister and Rimmer are there looking at this thing, and Rimmer goes, "Oh, I don't believe in God. I believe in aliens," and that epitomizes it completely. The space aliens, unfortunately, have become replacing, I think, religious and spiritual concepts for a lot of people.
Well, how about this? It's sort of a chicken or the egg kind of question. Which came first, contact with the aliens, with our species, or did we just come up with belief of gods just to explain nature? Which came first?
Well, Occam's razor says that the simplest explanation is the most likely one. And to me, it makes a lot more sense to think that the Earth is at the center of the cosmos and that the planets and stars are pushed around by angelic beings that we can't see. I mean, it's very simple. It makes sense. It's moving, so it must be alive or have some kind of life. Right? It cuts through so much balderdash. It's just like, well, it's just, it's four elements are a lot better. So, I really am going more and more all in on Ptolemaic astronomy. I really am enjoying it. It's really, I think it's much superior to this gobbledygook they have today.
Okay.
Now, flat Earth guys, get out of the way. Here comes Ptolemaic for you. I'll blow you guys out of the water.
What? You guys don't know the Earth is flat? Get out of here.
Earth, nothing. We're the center of the universe, guys. The sun goes around us.
Yeah.
I got the math. It's right here. Epicycles. It's all about epicycles.
Well, I mean, and if the Earth wasn't the center of the cosmos, then every king that was divine has divine right to rule us. They're illegitimate.
Only if they're in the right church do they have divine right. You got to remember that has to be the correct denomination.
Christianity in Europe just would not work at the time if that was not the case. You got to have the solar deity. That's why it's the sun. The sun is the sun. The mother's the earth, and then you have a holy like spirit of whatever your choice.
I was thinking about how consciousness is necessary for reality to be real. That's a very bastardized version of quantum physics, but the consciousness is part of this. And when you're sitting on the Earth and you're looking out into the universe, our consciousness of what is out there is what's informing it. I mean, in theory, you don't need anything more than just us humans being conscious of this stuff and all the parameciums. You don't really need intelligent life other places, although I think there is life throughout the universe. I'm a big panspermia guy. No bad joke today. A big panspermia guy. I really think life is ubiquitous throughout the universe. And now, intelligent life, that's another whole kettle of fish, because my own theory is that our quote-unquote intelligence is really a sign of mental illness. But we won't open up that can today. That could be another show.
You say no bad jokes, but literally the expression of God, the literal expression of God, when you look at Yahweh, the sound is supposed to be that of an eruption of a volcano.
Oh yeah, pillar of fire by night, pillar of smoke by day, rumbles on top of a mountain. That's pretty much a volcano, dude.
Yeah. So creation is thought of in a sense that way. Someone exploded something, and then there was I mean, of course, you have to
There are
claim
some
there,
ancient
there are lesser
Egyptian.
degrees of that belief.
There's an ancient Egyptian myth about the god Ptah creating the universe, which I'm not going to go into now because we're going to keep it clean. But V, you can look that up if you're not aware of it.
Oh, I'm
Egyptian
aware.
creation story of the god Ptah, Ptah. You'll find a very interesting little tale.
Oh yeah. So there are, for example, there's there's a Greek myth about someone was a man had got with a goddess of the hunts, I believe. It was Athena. Some guy was trying to get at her and accidentally, prematurely let, let off onto her legs, to which she wiped off and it spilled on the ground and it gave life.
Right.
So,
Well, Venus,
very odd story.
the goddess Venus or Aphrodite was born from the sea foam. The foam was supposedly the seed of Cronus, who had been castrated and
Right.
his organ thrown into the water. We just have to use these $5 words and it's fine. That's the key to this, just so you know.
Yeah.
But the Enochian book is interesting. I'm not very conversant with it, but I understand that it reflects a line of Jewish apocalyptic thoughts, because people were really interested in the end of the world and apocalypses, and there seemed to be a certain interest in that at that time in history.
Well, so actually, I thought it was very interesting when I went over the information. The rabbis say it's heretical, non-canon, not a part of Judaism, but it's Jewish mysticism. Okay, Hebrew mysticism. With the two powers in heaven. Have you heard that one?
No.
The good and the evil?
So the two powers in heaven, when Enoch was taken up to heaven, he's one of two people that were ever did that. But supposedly Enoch was allowed to sit on the throne of God, and once he did, he became he transubstantiated into an angel. He literally turned into the most powerful angel. This angel was called the Metatron, or Little Yahweh,
the voice of God.
The voice of God.
Now, see, the whole thing I was trying to get at that I forgot the name, and it was Tubal-Cain when it comes to the Freemasons. And Tubal-Cain is very, very interesting when you start putting all of this together, because it was actually it was a password. When you said Tubal-Cain, it was a password for the Master Mason's degree. Now,
they loved obscure little biblical passages, anything having to do with the Temple of Solomon,
and it had to do with preservation of ancient wisdom, what they considered ancient wisdom. Now, this gets really, really intricate, because it goes all the way back to Genesis 4:22, where he was the first instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And this goes back to what Tan had posted earlier about the Book of Enoch, where it starts talking about these fallen angels and how they had taught humans these things. Now, if you remember in the story of Tubal-Cain sent Hiram Abiff to build the Temple of Solomon. Okay.
Right.
And he and his brothers were trained in these crafts which were forbidden